But yeah, but speaking of the Judgment Day, uh, and the OC, their feud has been red hot, and obviously we saw Raw when we saw the phenomenal woman that is Rhea Ripley body slam Doc Gallows. So I kind of wanted to do something a little bit fun because it's very, very clear that the Judgment Day have the OC outnumbered. If you were to recruit a woman to the OC, who would you put on their team to even the odds?
The only person that came to mind that I thought would visually look good and then storyline make sense is Shayna Baszler.
Mm.
And I said Shayna Baszler because Rhea Ripley was the one that put her out. She took the strap off her, so it would make that more interesting to see them like come face to face with one another, especially for people that kept up with NXT, because the underlining feud that went on with them. But as visually, her being placed next to them, the same way Rhea Ripley legitimizes Judgment Day, kind of like with China's presence, I feel like Shayna Baszler has that because she's a legitimate fighter. Like
Hmm.
Rhea Ripley has like she's jacked as shit. She's strong as hell, like, and she looks great. She has this very interesting look. Um, she's very unique. That's the greatest thing about Rhea Ripley. She's one of a kind. She's unique. I feel like a person that would match Rhea Ripley with different qualities, but kind of gives me that same feeling is Shayna because she has a very unique look. She looks tough as shit. She is known for being tough as shit. She is a legitimate fighter. She could, kick your ass and choke you out and break your fucking limbs and stuff like that and all your phalanges. Like, she visually will
Flinches.
look really good next to them. She could be the one to bully around the guys, and you would believe it because she, again, is a legitimate fighter and she kind of has that ruggedness to her where, yeah, she could ragdoll the females and she probably could do the same to the guys. I don't see her technically body slamming someone, but the same way we got a pop out of watching Rhea do what she does best, and that's, utilize her strength to the best of her ability. Um, and she did in like a bully like behavior. I can see Shayna being back on her bully shit and choking guys out and embarrassing them because nothing's more embarrassing than getting choked out by a female, bro. Like how you know
Very
what I
true.
mean? I can see her bitching them out, and I feel like that whole visual will look so epic. It would look so legit. It looks so epic. I was thinking to myself and going through all the females, and it's not that none of the females were bad. It's just that I don't
No.
think that I could see them paired next to AJ. That was my biggest thing. How does that person look standing next to AJ? Do I want to see a pretty face? Do I want to see a dull face? No, I want to see someone that is like a real fighter. Like, and Shane is like a real legit MMA fighter and technical wrestler.
You
I feel like
definitely
she
said a lot.
is the equal that would make a legitimate group. If we're looking for someone else that a female that could complete a faction that has that
Hmm.
legitimacy, Shayna is your girl. Like she is your girl. She is your equivalent. And again, it would make so for such an interesting storyline because again, it's not only a faction versus a faction, but there's individual beef between the girls because Shayna, I know that she's been on a losing streak as far as getting a singles title, but
Yeah,
run that shit back with the beef with Rhea. Have Shayna come and beat Rhea Ripley's ass every single time.
that's a fact.
Like, bitch, I did not forget you through my freaking reign, and then kicking her off of like the brand that she was running. Like,
Right.
that would be interesting because you know what? While you have that whole thing going on with the factions, you don't even have to break the females off from the faction to have them revisit one another and have a 1v1.
Right.
Title
I
or
agree
non
with that.
title. I think that's money.
I agree with that.
What's your pick?
However, my pick, Asuka. I would have Asuka join the OC. And the reason why I say that is this. I feel like after the whole damage control thing, as far as like them, like messing up, like breaking apart essentially Alexa, Asuka, and Bianca. I feel like that was the last time we saw them together, and I feel like each individual, as far as Alexa and Asuka, need an individual refresh. And Asuka's crazy, and Asuka's dangerous, and I feel like one way to restore the perception of her being a dangerous woman is to align herself with people who are dangerous in the OC. I also feel like the common thread of the Japanese wrestling roots is something that can unite the OC. And I think that it's a nice little spin on something that they've, created. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like we're very much aware that the OC is based on the Bullet Club. Bullet Club doesn't have any women except for the female valet, the one that wears the bunny costume in New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Oh,
But the
Peter.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
have a signed shirt from her. I love her.
So,
Go ahead.
like they didn't have like a woman wrestler, and I feel like this is a great way to kind of distinguish the OC from the Bullet Club because they're doing things that Bullet Club wouldn't do traditionally, and so I think that this will be a great way to kind of set them apart, if you will, because yeah, like they just have a woman like Asuka, and I feel like a Asuka Rhea Ripley match will be a very very interesting entertainment match. It'll be a clash of styles, like this power versus kind of like this strong style type of feel. I think that that would be money as well. But I think that Shayna would be a good choice. But as far as where people are currently, it's like Shayna's on SmackDown. Like she's a SmackDown girl. I don't think that they would trade her, and Asuka's on Raw. So I think that it would be easier to integrate Asuka into Raw, into the OC than it would be Shayna into the OC just because of where she is brand wise.
Sorry to interject, but like, don't they normally do like a roster shakeup around this time of year? Like
They
October, November. There's usually like
they
a draft.
they do, and they've had rumors about it, but I haven't heard anything pertaining to it. So if they do a shakeup, I do see Shayna, but if they don't, I would say Asuka.
But I do love your answer with Asuka because I could see them bringing her back with like a darker, more cynical look than we're
Mm-hmm.
used to. You know, maybe it could be a nice, good time to rebrand her because we know her for all these crazy colors and stuff like that, which I love. That it looks fucking dope. Her entrance looks dope. I love her presentation, but I do miss the psychoticness that came with NXT Asuka, and we haven't seen her in a long time. Um, because ever since the booking with Charlotte,
Yeah.
it kind of just ruined her momentum and no one really took her as a threat anymore. So what I like about that is a lot of people's biggest complaints that is a um main roster or casual watcher of WWE's, they tend to say, "Oh, well, I can't connect with Asuka because she can't speak English. All I get out of her is that she yells out Japanese and she acts crazy and she acts goofy and stuff like that." And she's like, "Well, if she's working in a faction, not saying that they need to speak for her because I want her to still speak in Japanese. I still
Mm-hmm.
want her to speak for herself. But what they don't understand, because either they're too dense to put in the effort or they're actually genuinely trying to understand a Japanese wrestler, but they just can't seem to get it because they're so used to having someone that could speak clear English. Well, you're gonna have the faction there that is gonna still be otherwising, representing, and speaking as well. So it's gonna have like that nice balance there, and you'll understand what her role is and what she's made of, and you can still present her similarly to how she was presented in NXT, with her being like a serious threat and being the female that was really running NXT at her time. But
Mm-hmm.
that gives her an opportunity to be repackaged because we haven't really seen her really um we haven't really seen much of a character development with Asuka beyond the Kabuki Warriors when she was paired with Kyrie, and then they separated her, and she kind of more or less went back to being goofy and silly,
Yeah.
which I don't mind. But Asuka is more than that. Like the accolades that this girl has back in Japan, even
Mm-hmm.
before coming to NXT, is crazy, and people don't understand how legitimate Asuka is. And I would love to see her look and feel like it.
Mm.
So I might even trade in my answer as much as I stand Shayna and I'm waiting for my girl's moment.
Mm-hmm.
I might just trade it in for your answer, Jordan.
I win.
Because I think that long term, that would be great. Because Shayna could still just do what she wants to do alone and survive by herself. But Asuka could definitely use the rub in this moment in time. And it's
Very
something
true.
where she wouldn't necessarily need a title belt to be one of the most fascinating designations or attractions on the show, which
Right.
I would love for her. Yeah.
I 100% agree with that. I don't think there needs to be anything else to be said pertaining to that. But speaking of women's wrestlers,